Morning, Governor Hobbs is here to talk about her decision to run again, and we do appreciate you being here. We're going to get right to it because we got a lot of viewer questions.
Okay.
I do want to begin with the government shutdown. Joe from Apache Junction, who says this: Governor, as this shutdown does drag on, there are federal disaster relief programs that have been stalled as Arizona faces record damage and flooding. We did see you touring there in Gila County after the first devastating storm. What are you doing right now to make sure families and small business owners are not left waiting for federal help?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And our Disaster Emergency Management Administration office has been on the ground with folks in Gila County from day one. And as soon as we were able to help make sure that we recovered everyone, the recovery from this flooding is the next priority. And so we've been in communication with the federal authorities on disaster relief, and particularly that small business assistance is going to be critical. And so we've requested that relief, which is the next step in our process, and we're pushing on them to get that in. We know that these small businesses are will rely on that relief to get back to business.
And we know that the water did come on for the folks there, right? They have running water there this morning, so there's at least some good news there. On the issue of DCS and child safety, after the murders of 3 girls, we talked a lot about this here on ABC 15. They were known to the Department of Child Safety. Our ABC 15 investigators, they have been really looking closely into child welfare system failures in our state. Last month you said knee-jerk reactions won't solve the issues, and you wanted a deeper dive on this. Where are you now in the process today?
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to say anytime a child is killed, it's tragic and something that I take very seriously, and I know that Director Patak takes it very seriously, and she's the director of DCS. She's been charged to find out exactly what happened in these really high-profile situations, and we want to make sure that we're approaching this in a very holistic way. DCS has a very important role, but they don't operate alone. They work with police, they work with courts, and changes in one part of that system have to work with the other parts of the system. So we want to make sure we're getting it right. And so you should be hearing, and I want answers. I know the public wants and deserves answers, and we will hopefully have some very soon.
I'm going to dive deeper with you on this. You're a social worker.
Yes.
Right? I mean, do you think DCS has failed these families?
Well, DCS has a very hard job, and I don't want to say yes or no because I don't know all the details. I know that we were focused on looking at when the calls came in, how those calls were categorized in terms of meriting an investigation or not. If those are the pieces we're getting wrong, we need to get them right.
Yeah. Especially because these kids don't have a voice.
Right.
They're very vulnerable, clearly. And one of them died at the hands of her own father.
Yeah.
Well, allegedly, but. All right, I want to move on to sober living now because there's a crisis here in our state. With taxpayers footing the bill for nearly $3 billion, Andy, who lives in Phoenix, he called me yesterday about the sober living crisis here in Arizona. And he says some people are opening sober living homes in neighborhoods like the Biltmore. There's also a Windsor Square, he says. They're even opening near schools. Many are not licensed or following the rules. He has one that just opened next to his house where his kids, he says, are now seeing addicts use drugs in the front yard. First, he wants to know, why is that being allowed to happen, and what are you going to do to stop it?
So this sober living home fraud that had been taking place for years, it was something that previous people had kicked down the road and didn't do the comprehensive action needed to stop it. We did. We uncovered and took action very early in my administration and did everything we could to close those loopholes that were allowing these bad actors to continue popping up. We know there's still folks that are operating unlicensed, so it's important to report those to the city or to the state health authorities so the action can be taken.
He says he did report it, though, and that nothing has happened.
I would recommend following up on that report. I can't speak to the specific situation because I don't know where it was reported or the specific home, but he should follow up. And certainly we want to make sure people that are operating with vulnerable Arizonans are operating above board and not exploiting them.
Right, and I mean, again, to the tune of billions
Yeah.
of dollars this is happening. All right, William reached out from Avondale, and he says that he feels like the dream of owning a home in Arizona is slipping away.
Yeah.
Skyrocketing material costs, they are allowing, or I should say, slowing down new construction. What do you say to families who feel priced out, and what's
Yeah.
your plan to make housing more affordable here again?
Well, William, this is something that I personally feel very passionate about. My husband and I struggled, and during the Great Recession, lost a home to foreclosure. Didn't think we'd ever be able to own again, and that's why addressing the housing affordability problem has been a huge priority for me and my administration. We've worked to invest in building thousands of affordable units across the state. I know there's more to be done. I fought for and signed legislation that helps cut red tape so we can get housing built more quickly and less expensively.
Yeah, because rent, some people are paying
Yeah.
thousands for
Yeah.
a one-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, no, it's, and you know, I will say that the tariffs are not helping. It's making building materials more expensive, and that is maybe the biggest tax on Americans that we've seen possibly ever, and that's not doing anything to help prices go down. And so, you know, we're pushing back against the tariffs every way possible, but that's Washington, D.C. politicians making that happen. So we're going to continue to focus on what we can do here. The other thing I want to mention is our Arizona is Home program, which we invested in helping families with down payment assistance for those first-time home buyers.
I'm just writing that down because
Yeah.
I'd like to follow up and do a story with
Yeah.
you on that. Okay, I do want to turn now to jobs. First of all, we're seeing a lot of people lose their jobs. Now, we know the military, because of money that's being repurposed from research and development, is going to get paid right today. But there are a lot of people who are waking up this morning wondering if they're going to have a job because of the federal shutdown.
Yeah.
I know that's in D.C.,
Yeah.
but we're feeling it here in Arizona.
Yeah.
Is there any way to offer the people who are losing their jobs at least some relief?
So this is something that we knew would be the result of a shutdown, which is why these Washington politicians just need to get their act together. And you know, when we were facing opposition to our budget here, I vetoed an extremist budget. I forced people back to the table, and we passed a bipartisan balanced budget. That's what leaders are supposed to do. And we're not seeing that from Washington, and these, unfortunately, are the consequences of that. It's federal workers losing their jobs, contractors with the federal government, but also all kinds of services across the state that people rely on. And now you're seeing the president play politics with programs like nutrition assistance that people rely on.
But what I'm asking is there help that's coming for people in Arizona who are being affected by this?
So, so folks in Arizona, you know, we have done a lot on workforce development. So if people are wanting to retrain, get into other careers, we have a lot of programs available there, and certainly hope that people watching would be able to benefit from that.
Okay, I don't want to run out of time because we got to talk
Yeah.
about water.
Yes.
John from Glendale
Yeah.
says Arizona hasn't fought hard enough for its fair share of the Colorado River. Why not? And what message are you sending to developers about balancing growth, considering so many homes, we talked about apartments,
Yeah.
are built in areas without guaranteed water?
Well, we have taken action on that water shortage in some of those areas, the fast-growing areas that we need to build housing. I signed very consequential legislation this year that will allow us to convert unused agricultural land, which uses a lot more water than housing, into housing to build in those fast-growing areas. We're working hard every day to balance the growth and the sustainability, and we are at the table every single day with all of the basin states on Colorado River, guaranteeing that Arizona has our fair share is the top priority. We've signaled that we're ready to fight in court if we have to. It is the upper basin states that are not willing to put any of their water on the table to make sure that we can all share in the cuts that are going to come.
Okay, and finally, Danny wants to know, in the last election cycle, you chose not to debate your Republican opponent, Kaley. He wants to know if you're planning to debate this time around.
Well, that's a long way away. The primary is not until August of next year. What I am focused on is talking to Arizonans across the state and talking about the work we've done to deliver on the issues that matter, lowering costs, securing the border, and I'll continue to do that. And if a debate is the best way to get that message out, then we'll do that.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming on here live this morning, Governor Hobbs.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.